Hello and welcome to Mama Juice. I am your host, Sandra. Today I want to go into depth on how I found out I was pregnant with twins, how I felt when I found out I was pregnant with twins, and how it overall went. My boys are now 3.5, so I feel like I have a lot to share, but I was inspired by the lovely Colleen Ballinger because she is joining the Twin Mom Club, it's very unique to be a twin mom. And so I'm very excited for her. It's so much fun and kind of scary. And that's why I'm here because she mentioned that she kind of scaled the internet looking for other stories of moms saying, like, hey, I'm pregnant with twins and I'm kind of freaked out about it. And all she found were the good things. And not that I'm here to share the bad, but I'm here to share the real, which is what this channel's about, right? So let's get to it.
Hold up.
Is it scary when you find out you're pregnant with twins? Heck to the yes. I think it's scary when you find out you're pregnant in general. And I think a big part of that is you don't know what's going on in there. You know, you're the host of this baby, but you don't know is the baby safe? Is baby developing correctly? Am I doing the right things? So when you find out you're pregnant with twins, it's like I don't even want to say double the spears because it's like so much worse than that. Only because there are things that come along with being pregnant with twins that you don't experience with singletons. And so let me just back up a little bit and tell you about my pregnancy. I found out I was pregnant, was only a few weeks along, and I started having some bleeding. And so I go to the OB and the OB goes, oh, what's this thing? And I'm talking about it like I don't know. I said, do I have a growth in my uterus? And he goes, no, it's a baby, but I don't think it's going to stick around. I'm sorry, what? At that point, I'm like, am I pregnant with twins? Am I not pregnant with twins? Is one dead? Like, I didn't know. And so what he was referring to is there's this thing called disappearing twin syndrome. And more women than we even know get pregnant with twins. And what happens is the cells get absorbed right back into your body. And I'm like, oh, so like you just don't know. You don't know if it's going to happen. There's no way to know. And since I found out so early on, I would have caught it if that happened. And so I felt like that was a very insensitive way for him to tell me I'm expecting twins. But he said he wanted to see me back in 2 weeks to see if it's still there. And then he was going to refer me to a specialist because he couldn't tell what type of twins it was. So that brings me to that part. There are several different types of twins. The three I'm going to talk about today, mono, which as far as risks go, it's on the top. And the reason it's on the top is because that means that the twins share everything. They share a sac, they share an placenta, and so you have a few risk factors. The placenta can fail because it's trying to nourish two humans, and twin-to-twin transfusion, which I'll explain in a little bit. And then the last thing with mono specifically is that they get entangled in each other's umbilical cords because they share a space, they share the womb. It's all just they're floating in there together. And so that's like the riskier one. And then in the middle, which is what my boys are, monodi, means that they share the placenta. So that's why they induce you at 37 weeks or a little bit sooner, because your placenta can fail and then the babies get no nutrients. And then we all know what happens. And then twin to twin. And that is where one baby is getting more blood flow, one baby is getting less blood flow. So baby over here who's getting more blood flow is growing rapidly, and that could risk a heart attack. Baby over here who is getting all the blood taken from him or her, the way they explained it is so horrible, but I'm going to share it with you guys because this is what it's like to sit down with a specialist and hear about this. He said basically it will shrivel up and become mummified by its sac. Okay. So you have to go through life thinking, is my baby currently being mummified? And they monitor you very, very closely. I mean, I think in the beginning I was going every other week for ultrasounds. And luckily for me, no problems. My boys were always within a couple ounces of each other. The blood flow looked perfect, but it happens. And there are procedures that can be done. But I hear that you have to fly to like different states if you don't live in one of the states that they do it. And it's risky, obviously, for the babies and for you. So huge risk. And then, of course, you still have all the normal risk of pregnancies. But anyways, then underneath that is what Colleen is having, and that's die. they have their own homes, their own placentas, everything. So the risk for them is just drastically decreased. I mean, it's still risky for the body to have to adapt to 2 babies versus 1, but they don't have to worry about the tangling or the twin to twin or anything like that. And they have a 25% chance of being identical, but if they're not, then they're no more related than any 2 siblings. They just happen to share the womb at the same time, whereas identical twins share the same DNA. But I recently learned they have different fingerprints, so that's interesting. That's terrifying. Like when you sit down with a doctor and they tell you that, so now you're worried about all the things you're worried about in a normal pregnancy, miscarriage, gestational diabetes, early labor, which increases with twins. And the monitoring is nice, but every single time you go and you lay on that table to get an ultrasound done, you think, what are they going to find? And it's a big relief when they find nothing and they tell you your babies are gorgeous and healthy and perfect. But there's always that little thought in the back of your head. And some moms unfortunately get that bad news, So it is very scary and it's very lonely because you might have a lot of mom friends you can talk to, but if you don't have twin mom friends, they don't know what it's like to worry about twin to twin. They don't know what it's like to worry about your body being able to carry 2 humans at a time. And you have to seek that out if you don't know anybody who's a twin mom, because if you don't, you're going to drive yourself crazy because you need that support and you need to hear that it's not all butterflies and rainbows. I didn't get very big, as you can see here. I was 34 weeks pregnant there. I delivered, I was induced at 36 weeks and 3 days. And I chose induction because I am so terrified of a C-section because they literally just like cut you from side to side, I think. But anyways, major surgery, taking care of twins and a 1-year-old. I was terrified. And so I told my doctor, I am confident that I can do this. So here comes another risk of being pregnant with twins is the delivery. You have to deliver in the OR. Only your partner can be there, nobody else. The teams, it's literally like movie night, all right? There's your normal OB team, your fetal medicine? I don't know. Your MFM, which is a specialist that you see, the high risk specialist, their team is there. And then a NICU team, but it's doubled. So your normal OB team is kind of doubled as far as nurses go. Your NICU team is doubled as far as nurses go because there's going to be 2 babies. And so what happened with me is I delivered Luke, who's my baby A, perfect, seamless. And then they bring ultrasound in to watch the baby to see, can we do this? Or are we going to have to do a C-section? So now you risk delivering vaginally and by C-section. So you're healing from both sides and you experience both types of labor, which is just like crazy. Luckily for me, they bring ultrasound in, and I am not surprised that Dominic did this because he's flipping and moving and crazy now that he's 3.5. But we watched him on ultrasound. He was like higher up and he literally just like did the somersault right into the birth canal. And we were like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like, so my body did have trouble contracting, which is another fear. Your body's like, I did it. I delivered a baby. My job here is done. And you're like, well, there's still one in there. So they did have to kind of up my Pitocin to try to get those contractions going. And I'm gonna be honest, I kind of lied a little bit. They're like, do you feel a contraction? And I was like, yeah, I do. Like, I'm ready to push. Because they only want you pushing when you're contracting. So that could have been dangerous. I don't know. But I did start contracting after that. So I was able to, 18 minutes later, give birth to Dominic. Both boys were healthy. 6 pounds, 9 ounces, baby A, Luke. 6 pounds, 2 ounces, baby boy, Dominic. Nobody needed NICU time. I ended up needing a blood transfusion, but that's a whole other story. That had nothing to do with the twin pregnancy necessarily. I hemorrhaged with Jasmine. And then I guess once you hemorrhage during a birth, it increases your chances of it happening again. And twins do increase your chances a little bit, but that could happen vaginal or C-section. Because I was like, oh, if I would have had a C-section, I would have almost died. But I guess that's not the case. So Anyways, it's scary. There's a lot that goes into it as far as appointments and monitoring and just that added stress of like, I mean, we all know if you're a mom, you know all the fears that go through your head when you're pregnant, and you just have to add on to that. And a lot of moms have trouble carrying twins. They have to be on bed rest. They're in a lot of pain. I don't know what it is about my body, but my babies like sit deep. Jasmine was 9.5 pounds, and I didn't look like I was carrying 10 pounds of baby. And the doctor said that having her be so big prepped my body for twins. So I think there's an advantage to your twins coming as your second pregnancy, or, after you've given birth before, because your body's kind of done that shift already. So the last month I did take off work. I went on maternity leave a month early. And it was because my job had a lot of walking and I was just getting winded and my hips were hurting a little bit. And I just wanted some time with Jasmine before she had twin brothers. I mean, she turned 2 11 days after they were born. And I always say that she has the hardest job of all of us, because being so young and bringing a new sibling home, 2 new siblings home, like she didn't get to be a baby as long as the boys got to be a baby, because she had to be a little bit more independent because mom was caring for 2 babies. So that's my twin pregnancy slash birth story. And I hope that it helps any mom that is struggling with that. You just found out you're pregnant with twins. Like, is anybody else freaking out? That's what I said. That's what I said, because my mom came over. I'm totally backtracking, so sorry, but that's not what this was supposed to be about anyways. But my mom comes over because she knew I had an appointment, and I texted her and I said, can you come to my apartment? So she thinks something's wrong. She probably thought I lost the baby. And so we sit her down and hand her the ultrasound picture where it says twins with a question mark. And she was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, why am I the only one freaked out right now? And it's because I'm the only one who's carrying them and has to worry about that stuff, in the sense that, like, as a mom, and I hope people can relate to this, you feel so powerless when you're pregnant, because it's like, I can't take care of you in there, like I can when you're in my arms. So thank you for listening. I hope that helped anybody. If you have any questions, I'm so open about pregnancy and delivery and my entire life. So go ahead and ask them. I would love it if you would subscribe, because together is a beautiful place to be.